Well, here we are. Better late than never. We just had a really busy weekend, to be honest with you. I say busy weekend. What did we do? I had a rehearsal. It felt like stuff happened. I'm not sure. And it came down to we could either watch episode 3 of Behind Her Eyes, which appears to just be a soap opera. There's nothing else really happening. Or we should probably do a video about that actually at some point when we've watched the whole series. See if we can get that one up to 1,000 views like we did It's a Sin.
Is that what it's up to now?
Oh, it's 980 something last time I looked. So it's probably managed the last 20 by now. So yes, so it's weird because I'm enjoying it, but you know. So it was either watch the episode of Behind Her Eyes, or should we do our Drag Race videos, even though it's Monday night and Drag Race was like Thursday and Friday or whatever. Anyway. So what do you want to do first, America or UK? We could do it all in one. Try and just smash through it all, shall we?
Well, given that we've technically done the others as separate episodes, we should probably do these as separate.
Fine, we'll do a separate one. Busy scratching my leg. I don't know why. Okay, so we will do, because it's here. Yeah, that makes sense now. I got confused. I sound. So Drag Race UK.
Okay.
And it was Snatch Game. Somebody doesn't like Snatch Game. Actually, they are shit. Generally,
they are.
They're not.
They're basically built up, you know, throughout every bloody series of this that we've watched. It's the Snatch Game episode. It's the Snatch Game episode. Ooh! Like it's some fucking second coming of Jesus or something like that. And invariably, it ends up being one of the worst episodes of any season it's in. And it is a continuing fact that every time, because I used to look forward to Snatch Game in the early days, especially because I thought, you know, when you get like comedy queens, especially comedy queens that I love, like Trixie, or Katya for that matter, and you think, yes, this is going to be amazing, you know, because they're really going to shine. And my God, comedy queens invariably come out the worst in Snatch Game.
Yeah.
And it's not even the US version, because we've now had the UK version. And it's not a American comedy or American sense of humour versus British sense of humour, because the UK one is just as shit.
I think it stems from the fact that I think in the earlier seasons there were one or two queens who were awesome.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Pandora Box as Carol Channing, which to this day is one of my absolute favourites. And I think they kind of stand out. But it was interesting rewatching it with you last year, watching all of the old Snatch Games that I would have considered to be like the classic ones, and going, oh, they're not really that funny, actually. There's like one person with a couple of lines. That's really it. But what interests me most about the UK Snatch Game is why it's not called Blankety Blank. Presumably so they can sell it to the American market.
Well,
who won't know what Blankety Blank is.
Yes, but I think, like I said to you, because it is still RuPaul, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's always been Snatch Game for the US version. It probably just makes sense that they keep it as Snatch Game for the UK version as well.
But Ru even has the Terry Wogan weird, long, thin microphone with a bobble on the end thing.
But hasn't he had that for some of the more recent US ones?
Well, I know.
Well?
So I mean, so was that a thing that was a Snatch Game thing that then Terry Wogan adopted? I mean, what came first, Snatch Game or Blankety Blank? I don't know.
I was thinking more from the microphone perspective. Surely it's just like advances in microphone technology.
Yeah, but you didn't see it didn't see it on any other shows. It was just that was Terry Wogan's thing on Blankety Blank. You didn't see it anywhere else. And I think it stayed with Blankety Blank because I think when Les Dawson took over, he still had that microphone. But you never saw... Try to think of someone who isn't part of Operation U-Tree. Tony Blackburn on Top of the Pops with that microphone.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It was just... I only think of that style of microphone, which is like about a metre long and essentially like an old car aerial with a bobble on the top. I only think of that when I think of Blankety Blank.
Perhaps they used it to, like, you know, whip the production staff.
Maybe.
No one was looking.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite possible. So anyway, that was a complete aside. So we had Tia Coffee doing Mel B.
Wow.
Or, I think Michelle pointed this out, essentially not doing Mel B, but sort of nearly half going for doing Mel B as seen on Bo Selector, without going as far as being Mel B on Bo Selector, which would have been better.
Yes.
And then for her main runway, she was a pterodactyl.
That was just awful.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
No.
I mean,
it was 100% fancy dress for me. That and bad the kind of one where like you're rummaging through the bargain bin at your local sort of fancy dress shop, and it's.
I don't think it was even that good. It was. Did she go home?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see why. I shall miss her dearly, but I can see why. Then we had Sister, who did Psychic Sally.
It was one note.
And who's Psychic Sally? Should I know who she is?
I'm kind of aware of her, but I think I'm only aware of her in the same sense that I'm aware of people like Mystic Meg. She's that type of media.
Okay, but I would get Mystic Meg. If she'd done Mystic Meg, I think there was probably more places to go, because you do the lottery thing, right? So
that's weird. Sorry, we've got Netflix
onions
on in the background, and obviously it's doing the static trailer screensavers for shows, and so far it's come up with like a show that we were literally just talking about. So apparently it's not just our phones that listen to what
Netflix listens to.
Yes,
it's official. Another season of Stranger Things is coming. We've known that for like 2 years. Isn't there another season of Grace and Frankie coming? Or
yes,
am I confused?
They
made them together.
It's the final season. And that's the one that's been massively delayed because of COVID, along with everything else on the entire fucking planet.
I've not watched the last one yet.
But I think the problem I had with Sister, apart from Sister, is similar to what a lot of other drag queens have done when they've done like psychics and mediums and this and that. Yeah, it's the same fucking joke, and it's every other line is, I saw that coming. I saw that coming. It's tired. It's cliched. Do something else.
Talk to some really fun dead people.
Yeah.
Talk to Elvis. Talk to Michael Jackson. Talk to
Mother Teresa.
Princess Diana. I mean, there's all sorts of places you can go when you can talk to the other side. Trust me, I've got a father who does it for a living. But what I wrote down, and no one seemed to really comment on this, actually, or not directly that I can recall, is I thought Sister just looked like Ruby or Rudy Rod from The Fifth Element.
Yeah, you should let the runway now.
Yeah,
I still didn't say. I mean, yes, I get the whole like hair up thing, but for me, I think it's Rudy, isn't it?
Ruby Rod,
Rudy, whatever sort of the character's name is.
Chris Tucker's character.
Yes, but for me, it was always like the kind of cylinder goes forward for me. Yeah. Rather than up, so I wasn't getting that Sixth Element vibe.
Well, it was just I'm sure at some point during the film, he also has that kind of animal print costume as well.
Possibly.
Which is why I was thinking
so long
of it.
since I've seen that movie.
In fact, I think that with the sticky up hair, I'm sure it's like tiger print. And then later on, it's the little bunches and the black with the roses round it.
See, I didn't remember the bunches. All I remember is which I think is the bit where he's like doing the shrieking interview in the corridors.
Yeah, and it's
almost like a boom mic.
It's essentially his first appearance when he comes and interviews Corbin Dallas. I can't help it. Yeah, I know Fifth Element quite well. So that's just what I saw straight away. And then it didn't really seem to get picked up on. And I thought it was a bit...
I don't even... Other than the hair, I don't even remember it.
Yeah. Then Lawrence Cheney.
Oh, wow. Wow, is that a swing and a miss?
Lawrence, babe. There's so many other places you could have gone other than Miriam Margolis. Bless you. I think Michelle nailed this one again as... It was too clever a choice.
Yeah.
And again, where do you go? I mean, because she's such a big character, and she's you watch like any of the time she's been on something like Graham Norton, and it's just you can't quite believe half the shit she comes out with, and she's awesome. And I just think,
I think that's the big problem, because at the end of the day, I mean, again, I'm obviously not a comedy drag queen. But I think if you're going to do something, you kind of have to do someone who isn't already a bit of a comedy legend in their own right for coming out. Miriam Margolyes is almost for me drag queenish in terms of some of the absolute insane filth that she will come out with at the drop of the most innocuous question imaginable. And for me, the Snatch Game ones that really work are where you kind of take it. It's like the old. It's the comedy of the shop where nuns swearing. It's why Carolina Hearn's Sister Mary Immaculate works, because she does this very stereotypical Irish nun who comes out with the most unstereotypically non-Irish nun things to say, and it's that juxtaposition. You don't get that with Miriam Margolyes, because Miriam Margolyes herself is already like that.
Yeah.
She's like this sort of old, almost like sort of stereotype of a respectable Jewish grandmother, and she comes out with absolute filth. You've got nowhere to go with that.
No. So and then on the runway, I've written Tiger Flintstone style.
Yes.
And it was interesting, because I saw that as a kind of grown up Pebbles, and then later on
we had a grown up
in fact next Ellie came out as a grown up Pebbles, and they both worked but differently. They were not similar costumes. I didn't think. I think it's a weird one, because again, everyone seemed to go for the animal print, the bone through the nose. There was very much a very definite. It was like fucking Night of 1,000 Madonnas, and they all did Nothing Really Matters again. You know what I mean? It was one of them. Apart from one, which I thought already stood out.
Yeah.
So next you had Ellie, who did Vicky Pollard. She almost had the voice.
Yes, she didn't look like Vicky Pollard. I'm not sure what was going on with the makeup, but it didn't.
No,
the look didn't say Vicky Pollard to me.
No, she just had a tracksuit and the hair.
Yeah. And Ellie Diamond makeup.
Yeah, and it was okay. It wasn't great. It was middle of the road, average. And then you had Tace as Kath Day Knight. This is my absolute favourite, because massive Kath and Kim fan, massive.
So many missed opportunities.
Well, do you know what? The one thing I would have loved was Rue to ask Kath for her, answer to one of the questions, and you get a look at me. Well, I got one thing to say to you, RuPaul, and then give an answer. Obviously, the voice wasn't coming out there at all. And I don't know if it just ended up on the cutting room floor, but it was such an obvious Kathism that fit the situation, rather than squashing in that one episode. I mean, she did it brilliantly, the whole Chuck thing. And that, again, that's
the tricky neck.
Tricky neck. Just class, absolute class. But you could have got Wine Time in there. You could have got Ernest Kimei. I think there was more. But again, there's probably more we didn't see on the cutting room floor. And I can't believe she didn't turn up with a statue of little baby cheeses, because that's like the iconic Kath and Kim line that me and Sue O'Callaghan still throw at each other like once a year on Facebook. And anytime anyone mentions Kath and Kim, I find the GIF and post it. So I was a bit like, I think it was brilliant, and Taste fucking nailed it completely. Yes. But I just think possibly we didn't see some of the best bits, because I can't believe Taste would have got that spot on and not used those bits. That just doesn't add up in my head.
And I think for me the issue is, and it's not to detract from what Taste did, because as Sir Paul says, it was spot on, but it was an instance of okay in a sea of mediocre shit, which I think is what makes it stand out even more.
Yeah, the thing about Taste was it was nice, it was different years unusual. And then for Taste's runway, all I've written is I eat cannibal.
Yes, it was Prehistoric Voodoo Princess, and I must admit I loved it.
It worked. And she just came out, and I instantly was like, "Oh, it's Toto Swallow."
Yeah. But it was.
Think of what they've been.
As was already mentioned, it was still very stereotypical prehistory. It was like the animal print.
What's that
the
famous
Mad Max
actress?
Her hair.
Yeah, is it 10,000 BC? Was it?
Yes.
What's her name?
Raquel Welch.
Was it Yes, it was all that, wasn't it? That's what it was. Or lesser known reference, Barbara Bach in Caveman with Ringo Starr. If you know that film, then you know your shit. Next up, we had Ahura doing Louis Spence. Didn't get it. They seemed to love it. I didn't get it.
I thought it was very good.
I think Louis Spencer's just someone I kind of vaguely know from clickbait though. I don't think I really know. Have I ever seen him in anything? Probably not. Probably not.
Well before I ever knew you, so I would have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, again, it was one of those ones. It was solid. I mean, he nailed the lisp that Louis got.
Oh,
he nailed a lot of the mannerisms, but I think again didn't go far enough with it. And again, it was very much similar to Tyson in some respects, in that it was an okay performance in a sea of shit for me.
Okay, yeah. And lastly, by no means least, Bimini Bombulash doing Katie Price. And I love Bimini as Katie Price.
Absolutely love that.
The weird thing was there was this really odd cross of it being a perfect. It was like one of those face swap things where it was almost half Bimini, half Katie. It was like the perfect. Like you got the two. There's a thing I'm thinking of. You know, like in that episode of Voyager when Neelix and Tuvok become Tuvix.
I'm aware of that episode. I've never actually seen it.
This was Kamini. That's what happened. There was a transporter accident and they were merged into one being. But I thought Bimini got the character, Bimini got the look, Bimini got the vocal expressions, the mannerisms. Yeah. I'm not a massive fan of Katie Price. I don't hate her like lots of people used to, because I actually think she's way cleverer than people give her credit for, because I've seen her in interviews where she runs rings around people. She's way more switched on, and she just basically has all of her fans completely eating out of her hand. And also, very famously, she went on Loose Women, and they were talking, she had Harvey with her. You don't know this. I can tell you know this story by the look on his face. If you do know what's coming up, you're already laughing. Probably. So she went on, let's say it was Loose Women, and they were talking about, you know, it was all promoting sort of Harvey sort of being special needs and what have you. And they were sort of saying about, you know, some people aren't very nice to Harvey, and Harvey would have been like 10 or 11 at the time. And she was like, so what do you say to them, Harvey? Go on. She's obviously taught him to sort of tell him not to be sort of mean to him or whatever, or to stand up for himself a little bit. Live daytime TV. Go on, Harvey, what do you say when you meet these people? What do you say to them? Hello, you cunt. It's fucking priceless. Well, no, it's Katie Price. It's not priceless at all. But one of my favourite bits of telly ever. It's absolutely, which is obviously that's what she tells him privately. Just call him a cunt. Don't fuck off. Quite right too, Katie. Absolutely what you tell him to tell him. You probably should have primed him a little bit before putting him in front of a camera, though. Just saying, kid. So awesome. And then the bacteria outfit, which I understand the point where if you have to be told it's bacteria, and I didn't instantly go to bacteria. Well, the funny thing was, I didn't instantly go to bacteria, but I did go to primordial soup, amoeba kind of thing. So I don't think it was a failure on that part at all. And it was the one thing that was different from what everybody else did.
Yes,
like everybody else.
And again, different. Full stop. Yeah, it's not just that, because again, yeah, we've talked about when you think about like prehistoric stuff. You know, you have that image of 10,000 years BC, and it is Raquel Welch with the surprisingly coiffured hairstyle, doing that expression, and wearing basically like an animal print, usually leopard, sort of type bikini.
Not
and
always leopards, sometimes tiger.
Please don't do that. He's been doing fucking Dawn French.
Well, she'd wake up about noon, wouldn't she?
Or maybe 11.
Maybe 11. Wander outside. Perhaps see if a saber-toothed tiger's doing any doings on the balcony. Then off she'd go out for a stretch, and she'd scared of a dinosaur. I'll let you carry on.
24/7. That's all I will say. 24/7.
I'm just going to end it there. Fuck it.